now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
All right, good afternoon. 6 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 20th day of June in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and thank you for listening this afternoon. We have the great men from Weiss Merkel Financial, and we've got tickets to give away to their July 19th Passport to Retirement, how to strategize for a comfortable financial future. That'll be held at Upper Iowa University, just south of the Lowe's parking lot there at 50th and Westtown Parkway. And if you want a couple of tickets, it's a 3-hour session, 6 to 9 p.m. during the summer. They try to lessen the load on these. So it's 3 hours, one night, free tickets. And all you have to do is call 244-0077. Now, maybe you don't know if you want to go yet. And so what you would do then, of course, is... call in with your questions, because both Mr. Weiss and Mr. Merkel are here to answer your questions. 515-244-0077. Maybe you don't want to take the time to call, so you take the time to text on the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
How was your Father's Day?
It was great. Got to spend some time with the boys, play some ball outside, and it's such a wonderful day.
How many? When you say boys, how many?
I got 2.
And how old are they?
I got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. They're a fun age.
Are you done?
I am done.
Is your wife done?
I think so. I think she's in agreement.
Because she's really in charge of that.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. And how about yours, Dad?
Mine was fantastic. Most of my family's from the Cedar Rapids area, so my daughter, Jace, she's 4, and I went back.
That's the one that's going to marry his...
No, that's the one that's... Once she's 10, we're not going over to his house anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they do. Your youngest, right?
Yes.
Plays with...
Oh, yeah.
Your boy.
They get along really well. It's a good age because mine's 4 and yours is now 6 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he'll be 6 next month.
6.
So what'd you do for Father's Day?
Well, we went back to see my father, and Jace was able to hang out with all her cousins, and she absolutely loves that. So it was a really nice day on Saturday, and Grandma set up the pool, and just a little kiddie pool.
Yeah.
And all the kids played in the pool, and we had a lot of fun outside, a little bonfire.
We have a couple that we quote unquote adopted. Their families are both states away, and when we adopted them. And that's not a legal word. It's just we took them under our wing and became grandma and grandpa.
Sure.
And they had probably like a 2-year-old and then a newborn, and the newborn was sick. And one day Tracy was holding the newborn in her arms, and I just looked over at him, and I thought, there's something special about that boy, So I went and told him. And that started this road to Grandma and Grandpa. But anyway, the thing I was going to tell you, so it's hot on Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys. Look at me. This hair used to be red. This gray hair was bright red. So, just absolutely burn. But they called me and said, want to come over? And sure, they're outside in the pool playing. So here I do. I walk around the back of the yard and come around, and 4 little bodies come running to me going, Grandpa Mac, happy Father's Day, Grandpa Mac.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Made my whole day.
Yeah.
Made my whole day. That and spending time with my daughter and my son. And my other daughter texted me Happy Father's Day. And anyway, I think it was the best Father's Day I've ever had.
That's
and
good.
I've had, my son is, my oldest is 33. So I've had 33 Father's Days.
That's good. It's something special, and that age especially, because they're always excited to see you. They're always excited. They always have a smile on their face.
Yeah, and they got these big floaty things on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're on their arms, they're on their forearms, and then they're on their upper arms, and then they're around their neck. So they look like, these little, I don't know, something walking like a
Michelin
little,
Man.
Da, da, yeah, Michelin Man. There you go. Da, 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 da. And they painted pictures for me, for my refrigerator. So anyway.
It's beautiful.
All right. So what's the biggest misnomer in retirement today?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones that I think trip people up is the fact that people like to procrastinate, Mac, when it comes time to thinking about retirement. And a lot of people don't want to take that first step. I think you kind of mentioned it, if you're not sure if you want to attend that class, a lot of times people don't even know what questions to even ask when they go into retirement. And so our goal really is to try and help people understand the most important things it takes to put together a retirement plan. Because so much of our resources in the financial service industry is focused on product, buy the next hot, mutual fund, buy the next hot stock or whatever it is. And product isn't what's going to make your retirement successful. It's the plan, it's the strategy, and putting together that comprehensive plan to know that this is what it's going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from today, and having confidence that if I say tomorrow's my last day of work and I'm going to call it quits and I'm not going to have any more income, where do I start? What bucket am I going to draw from first? Do I take it from my checking? Do I take it from my 401k? Do I take it from my investment accounts? Where am I going to start getting this income when I give up that W-2 wage that I've had? And I think every 30 days. So now where am I going to fill that void? And that's step number one, is to identify where are we going to get that income that's going to last us for maybe 20 or 30 years in retirement.
Something I just thought of when you just said that, and that is that you're like the architect.
Right.
Before you dig the hole, before you figure out the color, before you figure out whether it's wood or carpet, before you figure out whether it's, glass or whatever, you guys come in and lay out the plan.
That's right.
And then it doesn't really matter all the other stuff because it all fits together back to the plan.
Right. And so many people look at retirement, kind of like using that analogy is, well, I want the best marble countertops. Well, I want the best shower and I want the best carpet. But does that matter if you don't know where you're going to put it and how you're going to build it? And do I start with the foundation first? If you're always focused on finding the absolute best product, then you wouldn't get the house built. You might have some really nice countertops, but where do they end up? You don't know because you don't have the overall plan.
Yeah, they're going to fall in the basement.
That's right.
515-244-0077. That's the number you could call if you've got questions about your passport to retirement. You could also give us a shout at the Service Legends Truth text line at 809-0993. And if you'd like 2 tickets to the upcoming Passport to Retirement at Upper Iowa University, 50th and Westtown Parkway. It's Tuesday, July 19th, 6 to 9 p.m. Tuesday, July 19th, 6 to 9 p.m. Dynamic instruction, straightforward language, real-world examples, kind of like we just talked about with an architect. There's no fuzzy math. Sound retirement concepts and strategies. Now, I've got a piece of paper that you brought me, Lauren, and this is called The Process, and I want to talk about this for a second. A proprietary retirement roadmap process is designed to help you, the listener, you, the client, achieve simplicity and security during those retirement years. It's focused around 5 key areas of your current financial life, of my current financial life. Why is that word in there? Why doesn't it just say of your financial life? Why is it current?
Because your current financial life is where you're at today. And the whole part about retirement planning is first you have to discover where are you today in order to determine how are you going to get to where you want to go tomorrow. And so your current position is just as important as your future position because you have to figure out where you are to understand where you're going to go.
All right. And the 5 key areas are income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. So it's income, investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy. Healthcare, was that a part of it 20 years ago?
Not nearly as much. And 20 years ago, and that's part of this whole retirement planning challenge is retiring 20 years ago was significantly different. And we've talked about this a little bit in the past. My grandpa retired at 55 and he had his pension from Ford's and he had Social Security. And that's really all the planning that was necessary at that point in time. And now there's so many moving parts. Retirement is so complex.
Who made it complex?
Well, there's a lot more to it. Part of what made it more complex is there's not all the pension power from an income standpoint as what there used to be.
And technology, I think technology has led a lot of making, what used to be pretty simple choices. You invested in stocks or bonds, and that was about all the choices you had in the 30s. And, over the years with technology, we created mutual funds, we created variable annuities, we created 401ks. We've created all of these different financial vehicles, and it's hard to know which ones make the most sense in each place. And you can find positive things and negative things on almost anything.
Well, and starting in the mid-'70s is when the retirement responsibility really started to shift to the individual. Because before, the retirement responsibility was centered around corporations and the benefits that they provided, and also as a supplement to the government with Social Security. And since the mid-'70s, it's gradually increased. The responsibility shifted towards the individual.
So in many ways, these tools were created by the financial industry to help people retire. And then the government comes in to try to to make sure that they're fair, honest, good, workable. And by the time the government gets done with the plan, it's combobulated.
Well, and the government has their plan, which essentially, if you do no planning whatsoever, they've got theirs designed, they get it all, unless you want to do some advanced planning. And so part of our services is we offer a second opinion service. It's part of the services that we deliver up in Johnston. I mean, this is like a $1,400 to $2,500 value, depending on how complex your portfolio is. That if you need a second opinion, we offer that service.
All right, if you'd like a couple tickets to go see that, it's Tuesday, July 19th, 6 to 9 p.m. in West Des Moines. Call now, and we'll get you some tickets.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza, and it's got Graziano sausage.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
421, 21 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 20th day of June. Do you know this is the first day of summer?
You know, I missed that.
Yeah, the Aqua Wakachuchuala.
Yeah.
Summer solstice?
Yeah. My agnostic friend, Pierre, who kind of keeps me up on what he thinks is the real stuff in the world, told me happy Solstice Day or whatever.
Solstice.
And said first day of summer. So, wow.
Well, it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. Oh, it's just terrible out there.
And tomorrow is the longest day of the year.
Really?
21st of June is the most daylight we will have.
Yeah. We start the cycle backwards.
And then it starts getting shorter and shorter. And from June 21st, it gets shorter until December the 21st.
Yeah.
Well, and then we throw in that dingbat time change. Yeah. So we, seriously. Hey, God, we're going to just turn time back. You okay? Okay, thanks, God. He's got to be sitting up there just laughing at us. All right, the folks from Weiss Merkel Financial is here. Passport to Retirement. If you want a couple of free tickets, 515-244-0077. It's Tuesday, July 19th, 6 to 9 p.m., and we'd love to get you there. We were talking about health insurance just a minute ago, and Jill King said just one small element of retirement, insurance. My husband had an account that would pay his health insurance for a few years. She said, I spent hours and hours and hours, and hours and hours and hours are all boldface capitalized. Because she wanted us to know it was really a lot of hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
On many, guess what? Capital letters, bold, many phone calls getting it set up and then going back to tell them how to set it up correctly. I documented it all, and it's just amazing. Yeah, it's the red tape. So do you guys work with... You don't work with my insurance company. You just help me to understand how to make sure I have insurance and how to have the funds to pay for it.
We incorporate all insurances into the planning perspective because, single-handedly, health insurance and the cost of health insurance is keeping people from retiring prior to age 65.
Wow.
And there are many people out there, just like Jill, who have a bank that is supposed to pay for health insurance, but it evaporates quickly. COBRA, which is automatic insurance that you have to pay for once you leave an employer for 18 months, used to be cost prohibitive because it was just so expensive compared to what you could get on the open market.
Yeah.
Well, now versus the open market, COBRA is actually an attractive option for most retirees.
Really?
So one strategy that retirees use is they go on COBRA for 18 months, and then if they're still not 65, then they can supplement in other ways. But the health insurance is very cost prohibitive from retiring right now for many people.
I'm going to ask an ignorant question. So if somebody doesn't have health insurance and they have a medical emergency, they're forced to go to Broadlawns? Is that what we have here? They go to the public or the government-owned hospital here in town?
Yeah, and all emergency rooms will accept them.
Okay.
If it's an emergency, but you're not going to get the same level of care. And really, the primary reason that health insurance keeps people from retiring is because they don't account for it in the planning process. And this is why we always advocate planning for retirement at least 5 years going into retirement. And what we mean by planning is having that written, constructed, customized plan, because health insurance is a part of that will creep up into your retirement and really upset your retirement probability if we don't plan for it.
Weiss Merkel Financial is here. If you'd like a couple tickets to their Tuesday, July 19th, not June 9th. We know that was yesterday, so we're a month away. 6 to 9 at night, Upper Iowa University, 50th and Westtown Parkway. And the tickets are usually $50, $49.
That's right.
But we'll give them to them if you just call 515-244-0077. Now, under healthcare planning, Lauren, we will create a plan to help you protect yourself against rising healthcare costs with a minimum of expense, including looking at all aspects of Medicare, Part A, B, and D, and analyzing options for long-term care planning. just sounds so lethargic.
It's dry, isn't it? But it's so important. People going into retirement.
Yeah.
Long-term care is one of their biggest concerns.
Yeah.
Because they hear so many stories about people needing long-term care, or maybe it's the reverse. Maybe they've purchased long-term care insurance and they've paid these premiums for the last 15 or 20 years, and then they pass away without ever using it, so it's a waste of money. Or they actually go into a long-term care type facility, but then they find out that the insurance company doesn't cover the exposure. So there's all kinds of horror stories out there with long-term care. But what we do know is that risk is real.
The risk is real.
The risk of needing long-term care or having long-term care exposure is real. So it's a matter of how you cover it.
What happens to a 70-year-old man who doesn't have health insurance and doesn't have long-term care or short-term care? What happens to those people? They're homeless under the bridge?
No, at the point that they have no assets left, they'll be able to utilize Title 19, and that's where that would come into play to at least give them the care provided. But that requires somebody to spend down their entire estate to be able to be eligible for Title 19. So some of the strategies that we look at and protect...
Spend down, not give away?
Not give away. There's a look back. So if you try to give it away in the first 5 years, they're going to bring that as an asset back into that situation.
And they'll go to the person that they gave it to.
That's right.
And want it back.
That's right.
What if they don't have it anymore?
Well, then you're not going to be eligible for Title 19. And I guess the person that they gave it to has to step up and take care of the individual. But one of the strategies that we look at in trying to take that risk of, if I pay premiums and I never use long-term care, is that a waste of money? Because a lot of times when you look at long-term care policies, people don't like those from the cost standpoint, because they could cost $6,000, $7,000 a year for a decent long-term care policy. So we look at solutions such as, can we maybe use a combination life insurance / long-term care policy? These are kind of newer policies in the last couple of years, where one of two things happen. One, let's say, for example, we issue it for $100,000 and you never use that policy for long-term care and you pass away, your loved ones get the $100,000. Okay, so you don't have the risk of paying premiums that someday your family or yourself can't use. And so it turns it into an opportunity where you can have, that benefit of a death benefit, but also if you lose 2 of the 6 daily living activities, or you're confined to a nursing care, or you have a situation that comes up that you're not just self-insuring that whole thing, that you can go to that life insurance policy and maybe have 20% of it advanced to you. So, for example, if you had a $100,000 policy, that would give you access to $20,000 to use towards long-term care. So it's a way to spread that risk out so that you're just not self-insuring it and hoping your kids take you in if you don't have any coverage.
Hoping my kids take me in. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. All right. Weiss Merkel Financial here in the studio. Your questions are welcome at 515-244-0077, or you can text them in to the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Frank?
I think statistics tell us that, 50 million babies were born after World War II, which is called the baby boom generation.
Right.
I assume those will be retiring very quickly in short order in mass quantity.
They already are.
How does that affect what's going on in our economy with all those people just at one time, and the majority of the working force?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
It can influence what's going on with our economy in many different ways. One of those ways is from a tax standpoint, and this is why tax planning is absolutely essential. And I know that we're June right now, and most people are tired of thinking about taxes because that time passed in April.
Right.
And so most people put their tax folder away, and they don't think about it again until January or February when they start getting their 1099s.
Unless they do a quarterly.
Quarterly report. But what we say is that now's the time that you need to start thinking about your taxes, because if you just wait until February, then all you're doing is you're recording history. You're recording what took place in 2016 in 2017. Whereas if you think about it now, you can actually implement some really effective tax saving strategies to help minimize the amount of taxes that you're going to pay for the year 2016. But with all the baby boomers who are going out of the workforce, one of the things that will probably give is our current tax rates, especially with the amount of debt that we have. So if you don't like paying the amount of tax that you're paying right now, imagine 5 years from now when we have that much less tax revenue going to the coffers of the United States government, and the debt liabilities are probably going to be significantly higher as well if we continue on the trend that we are. So doing tax planning, not only for your more immediate tax mitigation strategies is imperative, but also for when you're in your retirement years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the road.
I've heard this statistically on TV. I can't give you the statistic. Maybe you have it. If you have an annual salary and you retire and you're planning on how many years of annual salary should you have stored up? If you plan on retiring 20 years, should you have 20 years worth of salary saved up?
It's not that easy, unfortunately. And this is part of the complexities of retirement planning is are all these moving parts. And James mentioned one of the biggest failures of people is procrastination, and I think that's probably wise, because where do you get started? If you know you want to retire in 2021, how do you start approaching that? Where do you start?
Weiss Merkel Financial, they're here today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. 515-244-0077. Give us a call, and we'll get you a couple tickets to their Passport to Retirement coming up on Tuesday, July 19th. Go ahead, Lauren. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, where do you get started to make sure that you realize your retirement dreams the way you want to? Because there's so many different levels of complexity when it comes to retirement planning. You have income planning. You know, when I retire in July 1st, where am I going to get my income coming August 1st? And when I get that income, how much am I going to have to pay in taxes? And is it the most efficient place I can be delivering that income? And oh, by the way, if I'm still around 20 years from now, am I going to still have resources left over to continue to produce the amount of income I need 20 years from now?
I hear a lot of people talking about the benefits or the detriment of health savings accounts. What's your feelings on health savings accounts?
They work really well for some people, and other people should probably stay away from them. You could really use that answer across the board for a lot of these different retirement planning strategies. And that's why it needs to be a customized approach to what your concerns and what your ambitions are, coupled with what your resources are.
What would the factors be of staying away from them?
Well, the health savings accounts traditionally go with high deductible health plans. And so a high deductible health plan means that you might have a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible. And not everybody can afford that.
Right. And the other thing you mentioned was the large number of baby boomers that are getting ready to retire in this country, and the strategies that you used in the accumulation years are completely different in the retirement years.
Sure.
When you have time on your side, that's where the eighth wonder of the world comes in, is that you can have that compounding interest. When it comes time to retirement income, now that effect works backwards. And so you need a strategic plan of where are you going to withdraw these source of funds? What tax bracket is that going to put it in? You know, is that going to expose your pensions to more tax? Is that going to expose your Social Security to more tax? Where do I withdraw these? And of course, if you stay invested in the market, see, there's a lot of people that are saying, okay, if all the baby boomers start pulling their money out of the market, can the market support itself? I mean, we're touching every day, getting close to 18,000 on the Dow again. One of the things I think is important is make sure you have strategies built around if we have a next market correction. How is that not going to impact your retirement?
Weiss and Merkel are here. I'm sorry, Weiss Merkel Financial are here. It's your questions we want to have asked. 515-244-0077. Coming back live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Ask Hank. Hank, the Bible Answer Man, at 1-888 Ask Hank. The boys from Weiss Merkel Financial are here giving away tickets to their Tuesday, July 19th Passport to Retirement, 244-0077. Call in. We'll give you a couple tickets. I do want to tell you, now more than ever, America needs a revival. I know you know that. This is why I'm encouraging you to attend this year's Family Leadership Summit 2016 on Saturday, July 9th here in Des Moines. The event will feature Anne Graham Lotz, War Room actor T.C. Stallings, biblical worldview expert Dr. Del Tackett, and more. The tickets are available, but you got to go to thefamilyleader.com. Thefamilyleader.com. All right, 515-244-0077. You have a question from the Service Legends. Oh, you don't have a question from the Service. Okay.
You want to finish on market protection?
Oh, that's right. We were talking before the break about when you get to retirement, you have to employ different philosophy when it gets to retirement than you did through the accumulation phase, because what you did in accumulation doesn't work so well in retirement. And one of those philosophies is understanding how to have a truly diversified portfolio from an institutional, personalized, developed plan. Versus just being in a packaged product where you're just in with 100,000 people and the manager doesn't even know what your goals are. But the most important part of that is, how do you protect your portfolio so that if the baby boomers start drawing all the money out of the market, how is that not going to disrupt your retirement? And one of the tools that we use is called Asset Lock. And this is technology that essentially will set like a bottom level in your portfolio. So we sit down, we have a cup of coffee, we talk about how comfortable you feel with risk, because everybody's different. And once we know your comfort level, so let's say you say, James, I'm 62 years old, I've got $150,000 to invest, and I don't want to lose more than 10% of my portfolio, we can set a
Whoa. You don't want to lose more than 10% of your portfolio.
I'm only willing to fluctuate. When you invest money, there's only three things that are going to happen. It's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to stay the same. So part of investing is we have to be comfortable that at some point we could lose money. Okay?
And what you're saying is somebody walks in and says, I'm not losing more than 10%.
That's right. So if they say, I'm not willing to tolerate more than any time being down 10%, I've got the technology that says, okay, at 7.5%, I'm going to get a yellow notice to me that's going to call you, and we're going to have a conversation to discuss that, because how many people heard from their advisor in 2008 when they were losing 20 and 30% of their life savings? Didn't happen the stories that I hear out there, none of them, they didn't hear a word from their advisor. 6 months into it, they looked at their statement, they realized they're down 30%. What can you do then? It's too late. So this communication is allowing us to say, okay, if the portfolio is down by 7.5%, I'm calling you and we're going to have a conversation to decide one of two things. Do we continue on with our investment plan that we laid out, or do we take a time out and get ourselves out of the market before we hit the actual threshold at 10%? So that's the other level. Let's say if you said 10, that's my red warning. So this is where I say at 7.5, I'm calling you to see how you feel. But once we get to 10, now I'm saying let's look at this. Do we want to take a time out, or do we want to reset this? Because at that point, we need to make a decision, because originally when we sat down and visited with you, you said you didn't want to lose more than 10%. So this gives me the ability to have that conversation proactively prior to the big 20 and 30 and 40% loss.
So is those numbers automatically flagged into that person's account?
Yes.
That it would kick that warning to you?
We text it or we email it, depending on what technology they prefer. Some of our families like text, some of our families like email, but we have the capability to do it either way. The other side of that is because once you give up that W-2, you're kind of interested to know how much dividends I might expect out of my portfolio. So we total all that up so that they can see within their portfolio, here's how much dividends that portfolio generated for them. So they get an email once a month that says, here's my total dividends. So they kind of know where their income might be coming from. And then the second part of that is that we're going to set new high water marks. So this isn't stagnant. So let's say you started out investing $150,000 today, right? And 3 years into it, now it's worth $200,000. Well, that 10% level resets at those high water marks. So every time the portfolio hits a new high, it resets that 10%. So it's not stagnant. So let's say 150 goes to 300, goes to 500, and so on. It resets it all along the way. So if we ever get to the point where we lose or starting to see the portfolio go down by your comfort level more than 10%, we can take a time out so that it doesn't disrupt your retirement plan. This is the technology that's proprietary only to us. We're one of the only firms that does it in the state of Iowa that I'm aware of, and these are the resources we use in retirement, because so much of our industry looks the same, we kind of talk the same, but who's the difference between retirement specialist versus an accumulation advisor? These are the tools that we use to differentiate ourselves.
515-244-0077. It's the men from Weiss Merkel Financial. If you call up now, we'll get you a couple tickets to go to their Passport to Retirement, Upper Iowa University, 50th and Westtown Parkway on Tuesday, July 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. Have you asked yourself these questions about your finances? 1, will you be able to retire on schedule, or will you have to postpone retirement? 2, could your investments be earning more? 3, how much money will you need to accumulate for retirement? 4, what steps have you taken to help provide for your family and heirs? And finally, which distribution method could help preserve the value of your estate? When you attend the Passport to Retirement, you're going to receive a free, complimentary, no charge, 135-page retirement planning guide. And these guys are, James and Lauren are going to walk you through this booklet. And Bob, you did this a few weeks ago, and you said the booklet was just amazing.
Oh, yeah, it is. And I keep it in a drawer in my desk, which is really close to me. So I'm just saying, it's a valuable book.
You go back and look up things that they've said and figure out where it is.
Right.
What have you changed about your retirement since going to the Passport to Retirement last month? Or what are you thinking about changing?
Well, I was really interested in the Social Security aspect and knowing, when to take it, if you should not. Those are important things. I thought I lost a benefit. That's what everybody was threatening. And you told me, because of my age, because I'm an old guy, I didn't lose that benefit. And so I didn't know that. So, if you don't have the knowledge, then you're going to lose out on important things. And this is where you gain the knowledge. And I realize things change, but you got to keep up with it. Otherwise, you could miss out on a lot of funds.
515-244-0077. Things change all the time. I mean, it's not like just once a year. It's like constantly during the year.
As if Social Security wasn't complicated enough, when they recently changed Social Security, it made it even more complex. So now people like Bob are wondering, are these changes applicable to me? Am I still going to have all the options available to me as what I thought I did have available before? Or are these changes going to preclude me from having the same options available to me? So now it's even more complex than what it was before, and finding out what kind of options are available to you to execute from a Social Security standpoint is absolutely essential part of your retirement planning program.
Right. And the thing is, Social Security will not tell you these things. They don't say, hey, guess you should know this.
Right. 81 options, right, Bob?
Yeah.
81 options to sort through.
No, Social Security is pretty limited as far as what they can do for you. They could certainly help you file for benefits, but as far as giving you advice or advanced strategies,
won't happen.
Won't happen.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can call. Jebediah at the other end of the line. He'll be glad to give you a couple of free tickets to the Passport to Retirement on Tuesday, July 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. Rather than having two different sessions, one week, one the other week, they just added 1 hour to the one session, and they're going to get it all done in one night because it's summer and it's hard to get around and everybody's working at Adventureland part-time. I mean, people are busy. Now, we were talking about income planning, which is part of the process, and you've got 5 key areas. And when we come back, I want to talk about investment planning for a minute. And talk about what you guys do to help us, to help your clients, to help the people that come to this Passport to Retirement when it comes to investment, because investing is just a strange word. It's just a scary word. So we'll talk about that when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth. Yeah, I told you it was The Truth. 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, Salem Radio Network News. And then, of course, Hank, the Bible Answer Man. 1-888-ASK-HANK. I know I always tell you this, but if you want to ask him a question, you're probably too late. You should always call in about 20 till, about a quarter till. Now, it's only 10 till, so you can try to get in with your Bible Answer question. 1-888-ASK-HANK. That's the phone number. So whatever Ask Hank comes out to be, just add 1-888 before that. All right, the boys from Weiss Merkel are here. Weiss Merkel Financial and their Passport to Retirements. They've got another session coming up on Tuesday, July 19th from 6 to 9 o'clock in West Des Moines. I'll give you free tickets if you'd like to go. 515-244-0077. Blank. Investment planning. Investment planning sounds like brain surgery to me. How do you make it simple for me?
The way we make it simple is first we figure out, and really when we talk about investment planning, where we start is by determining how much risk is your portfolio subject to. Meaning, coming off the heels of 2008 where people lost 40-50% of their portfolio, the way your portfolio is constructed right now, do you have that same potential loss as what you did in 2008? If you do you know about it? And number two, are you comfortable with it? The other aspect of this is how much risk do you need to take to accomplish your retirement dreams, to retire when you want to retire and maintain the same standard of lifestyle and do what you want to do in retirement? How much risk do you need to take? And then we balance that with how much risk do you feel comfortable taking?
All right, so I get to choose how much risk I want to take based on how much I want my portfolio to grow.
How much potential does your portfolio have to grow? But you do get to choose. But first, what you need to find out is how much risk are you taking? Because what we find is that people are taking, most of the time, way more risk than what they think they're taking. And we saw this in 2008. So when people lost 30% of their portfolio, they were surprised. They didn't realize they had that much at stake. And especially with pre-retirees, there were a lot of people that could not retire because of what happened in 2008, and they were planning on retiring. Sorry, Frank, this is what we're going to see all over again because we are at near all-time highs on the market. It's going to turn around. It's just a matter of when. Yeah.
So Go ahead.
Yeah, because I have a question based on what he said. Turn around or explode? Implode. In 2008, we had we had a market crash. What would you call that?
Yeah, it's a serious recession. It's a deep recession. And what I'm talking about is whether it happens 6 months from now or 6 years from now, it is going to happen. It's just nobody knows when. So the question is when it does happen, how badly are you going to be impacted? And what we do in the planning process is we find out, have you won the game? Have you accomplished what you need to accomplish to live like you want to live in retirement? If yes, then why do you continue to risk so much to only lose the game? If no, then how much risk do you need to take to be able to win the game?
Are most people taking more risks than they need?
Yes.
Absolutely. I would agree because I think, Mac, what your question was is, you get to pick to a degree. Like if you say, I want to spend, if you were going into retirement and you're spending $3,000 a month and you come in and say, now I want to spend $10,000 a month, can you do that? Well, yeah, but you'd have to take your risk 3 times level up, and I don't think you'd feel comfortable taking that type of risk to be able to achieve those goals. Those two things have to balance. So, what we're trying to say is if you're spending $3,000 a month, how much risk do you have to take within your overall portfolio to be able to spend $3,000 and not outlive your portfolio?
Well, and my guess is that it's $3,000 a month for my first 5 years, and then it's got to be $3,500 a month because of inflation, and then it's got to be $4,000.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you have to account for that secret inflation one that a lot of people go into retirement saying, hey, I feel really good because, I'm making all my obligations and I'm saving extra $500 or $600 a month, and all of a sudden 5 years into retirement, they find themselves going back to work because taxes went up, the grocery bill went up, car insurance went up, house insurance went up, healthcare costs went up, all these things went up, but I didn't have any inflation built into my income or my standard of living. And so now I am faced into, do I take more risk in the portfolio to try and keep up, or do I go back to work and try and build more assets so that I don't have that potential of outliving?
What about a guy like me who's never going to retire? I mean, I as long as I can sit in front of this. I mean, even if I sound like this, I'm going to do radio.
But even when you get to that point,
what happens is either you choose to retire or something chooses you to retire. And the day you decide to step out in this life, you're going to have resources that are left over. So do you want those resources to go to the government? Or do you want to choose? Do you want to dictate where they go in the most efficient way? So that's the type of planning you would need.
You made me just think about my friend Jan Michelson. Mm-hmm. You know who I'm talking about, the radio guy. Yeah. Had no intention of retiring. The age of 60, whatever he was, he could still talk. His brain worked fine. Then he had a massive stroke last September, and everything has changed because of that.
Yep.
And there's just no. I mean, how do you plan for that?
You can't. You can't say here's what will happen to me, but what you can do is say here's what could happen to me, and then mitigate the risks of what could happen. There's only so many different ways our lives can go, and unfortunately, we can't always choose.
515-244-0077. 515-244-0077 is your questions. Also, if you have a service or if you have a question that you'd like to text to us, you better do it pretty quick because we're just about done for the day. But 515-809-0993. You have here under investment planning, assessing your risk tolerance. I like that. That makes sense to me. Adjusting your portfolio to reduce fees. Volatility. How volatile.
So you in your portfolio, how much does it go up and how much does it go down with the market?
I mean, the thing that would seem so simple to me is I plan on, we're talking about every 5 years the money's got to go up. I would plan on downsizing every time that happens, and eventually it's just me and whoever living in the modest that we can. But I guess a lot of people don't think like that.
Well, and then we'd want to incorporate that into your plan. But for those who don't want to downsize and they just want to maintain, then that needs to be addressed in the plan as well.
Yeah, and I don't think we live 20 or 30 years and work that hard and not want to have the goal of maintaining our standard of living. I mean, I don't think retirement is successful if our plan is that we have to downsize or give up or not take trips or do those things.
I got a quick question.
All right, go ahead.
It's a text that just came in.
Okay, well, I told them to do it, so they did.
What are the advantages, disadvantages to converting an IRA to a Roth IRA? When is it appropriate to do so?
The benefits are if you do it right, you can lock it into a relatively low tax bracket, lock your tax expense into a relatively low cost, and that money will grow for the rest of your life or even your survivor's life tax-free. The disadvantage is you do have to pay tax on it when you convert it over. But we work on conversion strategies all the time to lock it in at a really low rate. The rest of your life, it grows tax-free.
All right, guys, I appreciate you being here today. Weiss Merkel Financial. Dates and times, Tuesday, July 19th, 6 to 9 o'clock at night. Free tickets. I'll give them to you. Just call. Let me know. I can't believe that this wouldn't help you. Bob says it helped him. It helps me just sitting here, listen, think of what it could do for you if you were there. All right, guys, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Our pleasure, Mac.
All right, we're coming back tomorrow. Tom Coates will be here with Craig Robinson, and the most important person in the mix is you. Thanks for listening. Remember, tonight, ask forgiveness for what you've done, because as you ask for forgiveness, that's how you will be forgiven. See you at church.